is I feel like one of those mommy vloggers who are pregnant and at like their third trimester or something. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's 2017. I'm sitting in front of the camera and I'm filming my second video. This means that I'm actually keeping up with my New Year's resolution that I talked about in my first video, so I'm actually kind of proud of myself, and it's kind of exciting because I usually every year set these crazy goals and then never accomplish any one of them. And today I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wake up and make a video in, the free time that I have. The only thing that's annoying me is I totally forgot to shave. Like I had washed my face, brushed my teeth, did my skincare, put on my moisturizer, then I realized I forgot to shave. And after you put on your moisturizer, it's kind of like the point of no return because nobody wants to wet their face again, after the moisturizer has already touched your skin. So I was like, whatever, I'm gonna film, regardless of the little shadow that's on top of my lip. I'm just gonna start pulling my cologne out. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm gonna start pulling these fragrances out in no particular order, and I'm not a fragrance expert, so I won't be using any technical terms. I'm saying this because there's a lot of fragrance reviewers who use terms like patchouli, oud, and those terms don't do anything for me as a regular consumer of fragrances. So I'm gonna bypass all those jargon and just describe how these fragrances smell like to me and who I would recommend it for, and like what event I would recommend it for. So I'll start with this one. This is Rocha's Man by Maurice Roussel, and despite looking like a glow-in-the-dark dildo, this actually smells delicious. It has a very strong coffee note, and I recommend this to anyone who likes the scent of coffee. It's coffee vanilla, but mixed with something very, very manly. I bought this because when I got a sample of it in the store, I was immediately hooked because it was such a perfect balance of manliness and sweetness. It's not technically a dessert or a gourmand. It's not a dessert fragrance because it doesn't smell as sweet as like a Tom Ford fragrance, for example. But it does have a strong vanilla and like almost like a latte smell. Perfect for winter. I would even say spring, winter, spring, fall. Maybe avoid it in the summer because it can smell a little sticky. It can smell a little icky in the heat, but definitely a worthwhile purchase. The next fragrance is Animal. This is actually the fragrance that got me started to collect fragrances. When I was a high school student, I started to research about fragrances, and during that time, Terry Mugler's Angel and Pure Malt, Pure Havane, those scents were very popular, but they were very expensive, and for a high school student, my budget, just could not afford those fragrances. But this smells exactly like Pure Havane, for a fraction of the price. This huge bottle was like, I think $30 in comparison to Terry Mugler's scent, which is like $100. It has very strong pineapple smell. This one is a dessert fragrance. It smells so good, and you can tell because I almost have nothing left. You only need like a few spritz, one on your wrist, one on your other wrist, and maybe one on your neck, and you will get so many compliments because it's one of those scents where people can't quite figure out what it is, because at the first spritz it's like a very, very strong, manly citrus smell, and then it dries down to this very sweet pineapple, like ice cream scent, and then you're stuck wondering if this is a female fragrance or a male fragrance because it's just so interesting. of all the fragrances that I'm talking about today, this is the one that got me the most compliment just because it's so strong. The scent is just so complicated that people can't help but, you know, ask you what it is that you're wearing. Next fragrance is I feel like one of those mommy vloggers who are pregnant and at like their third trimester or something, because after every sentence I'm running out of breath. That's because I'm still trying to get comfortable speaking in front of the camera, so I'm actually putting a lot of energy into every word that I'm saying. The next fragrance is F for Men by the House of Ferragamo. It's a very, very manly bottle. And you know what? This fragrance, you can tell by how full it is. It's not one of my favorites. I actually purchased this because when I was shopping for, you know, a fragrance, the lady who was at this counter was just so persuasive. She like was talking to me, you know, asking me about my job and then recommending me this, recommending me that, and you know, her and I just had such a good conversation. I was like, okay, I just wasted 15 minutes of your time. I kind of feel obligated to buy this fragrance that you keep talking about. So I actually purchased this, and I purchased the full size because I'm such an idiot. It smells very manly. It's not what I'm used to. It smells like a very strong citrus and mixed with lychee, but then the thing that bothers me about this is that it dries down to a very annoying athlete, you know, high school jock type of scent. And what I realized is this cannot be worn in the winter just because it's not a winter fragrance. But when I wear it in the summer, I find that when it's mixed with sweat, and this sounds gross, it smells really, really like stale. And for a designer fragrance that cost me like $100, I'm kind of disappointed at how this, you know, smells on my skin throughout the day. The best way to describe it is like lemonade and lychee, but the lychee is very, very faint. I mean, if it was more sweeter, I would totally, you know, use this fragrance more often, but it's just so like manly. Like the type of guy who would wear this is, you know, that douchebag that goes to the gym and talks about going to the gym, you know, every other sentence. So the moral of the story is, when you step into a fragrance store, don't let them persuade you into buying something that, you know, you haven't sampled onto your skin and smell throughout the day. This next fragrance is for Versace. I got this a long time ago. I forget what the actual name is called. It's like Versace Eros, something like that. But this one, oh, I just shoved that into my nose. This one is a manly fragrance, but it's actually very, very tolerable. I get compliments from this one almost every time I wear it, and it's one of those clean, manly scents. Yeah, it almost smells like laundry, but very rich laundry. Like the type of guy that would wear this is, you know, the guy who goes sleeping from hotels to hotels, and you know, his hotel room is probably full of champagne bottles. That's how I imagine this scent to look like if it was personified. Nothing extremely special. I'm not particularly committed to this fragrance, but it does smell good, and it's a safe fragrance if you're going for something manly but not overbearing. So yes. Next fragrance is this one. Okay, this one I purchased almost solely for the bottle because it is so pretty. It's like constellations on this side, and this side is just a clear like blue gradient. It almost looks like one of those like genie bottles. Anyways, this is Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef. And I bought this because I kept telling one of my friends that I really like powdery scents, and he said, oh, why don't you get this one by Van Cleef, because it basically smells like baby powder. And he was right, but he wasn't 100% right, because this has a powdery scent, but it's a very manly powdery. Like, it's not baby powder, it's not the type of powder that, you know, your barber puts on you when you're at the salon. It's a very sophisticated, classy, rich smelling type of powder. And honestly, that's the best way to describe it. It's not citrusy, it's not musky, it's not desserty, it's not quite sweet, it's not quite like douchebaggery. It just smells really clean, powdery, but sophisticated. Perfect all year round fragrance. I feel like this is a good purchase in terms of value, because you can actually wear this summer, spring, fall, and winter. In the summer, this goes very well because it's a very refreshing scent, and in the winter, for some reason, it provides, you know, the scent is very comforting, like it provides a sense of comfort. So perfect all year round. Next scent I have is Eau de Bois by L'Occitane. Because my fragrance preference is leans more towards the sweet spectrum, I almost have, like, for a guy, I almost have like a very feminine preference when it comes to fragrances. And I always, almost, you know, 95% of the time, prefer the sweeter fragrances. So I googled what's a good sweet fragrance that isn't gonna, you know, kill my wallet. And a lot of people on Fragrance Forum recommended the L'Occitane Eau de Bois, and they were not kidding when they said this is sweet. This smells like a cinnamon bun. It's like very strong sugar and cinnamon smell, but there's also something very minty about it. I actually wore this, and I was talking to a stranger. I think she was asking me for directions, and then she said, "Oh my god, something smells like a I forgot. She mentioned something, some type of dessert. It wasn't a cinnamon bun. She said something smells like some sort of dessert or candy." And then she's looking around, and then I think she's like, "Is it you?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe." And then she's like, "It actually smells so good." So yeah, that's the story on that. Again, not particularly committed or attached to this scent, but I did use quite a bit, like I'm halfway through, only because it smells fantastic in the winter. It just reminds me of like a cup of hot chocolate, clean, combined with clean laundry, and sitting by the fireplace. Oh my, like a sense, it almost has a sense of burning wood into it too. So that's that. This I bought on the same day as this one. This is the L'Occitane Vetiver. Funny thing is, I went to the store to sample this, but I also accidentally sprayed this, and when I left the store, I was completely mesmerized by this, because you know when you sample stuff, it kind of stays on you the whole day, and I kept smelling this as I was walking through the mall, so I just decided to go back into the store and purchase this one as well. This one smells like, and I've thought long and hard about what this smells like, and the best description is a very classy old man. Fragrance gurus will tell you that this smells like pure vetiver. For me, I don't know what that means, but perfect description is the scent of a classy, sophisticated old man, you know, who wears a trench coat, scarf, maybe a top hat, and he's full of money. That's what it smells like. Like, it has a very medicinal, and don't let that off-put you, but like medicinal mixed with herbal and lots of mint. Like, it's a very spicy, peppery scent. I use this when I want to smell very masculine, but I'm not in the mood for the conventional citrus musk type of scent, so I go for this. I'm actually liking this one a lot more this year compared to the first year that I bought this. This one is my newest purchase, but it's also almost empty. This is Tom Ford Noir Extreme, not to be mistaken with Tom Ford Noir, the black bottle. It's weird because the noir version of this, smells nothing like the Noir Extreme. So when I was, you know, researching about this, I thought the Extreme was gonna smell like Tom Ford Noir, but just more intense. In fact, they smell like two separate fragrances altogether. This smells like pure candy. I got lots of compliments on this. However, it's not a personal favorite because it's a very close, at least on my skin, it's a very close wearing scent. You have to be like rubbing shoulders with me or hugging me in order to smell this. And for a scent that almost costs, you know, it cost me way, like well over $100 for a small tiny bottle, I would expect projection to be much higher. It's not one of those fragrances where you walk into a room or you walk past someone and they can smell it. You kind of have to be interacting with them physically for them to smell it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that this smells absolutely delicious and very expensive. It smells like a hard candy mixed with like wine, because it has a very weird grape, like red wine scent to it as well. Doesn't project well, and it's also disappointing in the fact that it doesn't last long, at least on my skin. Moving on. That's it for the fragrances that I currently have, but then I also kept a few of my empties just because it is the Gucci Pour Homme No. 2 Blue Liquid 2nd edition. This smells absolutely insanely amazing. It has jasmine tea notes in it, and it actually smells like jasmine. And it smells like a very, very fresh, like a Long Island iced tea or something. It just smells like you're on vacation, but a very, you know, but a very classy, calming vacation. Like you're not, you know, doing some intense mountain climbing or scuba diving or whatever. It's just like lying down on the beach with a Long Island iced tea, or maybe just, you know, resting in your hotel room after a long night with a cup of jasmine tea. It just smells so good. But the depressing thing is, and I would totally repurchase this, but the sad part is it's discontinued. So you can only find this like if you really, really go searching for it. Apparently it was a limited edition, but I didn't know that, and I used it up so quick, and now I don't know where to buy it again. Kiehl's only carries one fragrance. Kiehl's is specifically a, you know, skincare, face and body skincare brand, but it has one fragrance and it's called Original Musk. And I actually thought of this fragrance, or went out and purchased this because it was in one of Brute Choi's Instagram picture a long time ago, before he was even super active on YouTube and before he had a following. Him and I are Instagram friends, and so whenever he posts I would see it. Well, duh. But that's how Instagram works. But this was what I'm trying to say is that this was like way back in the day where people weren't following a bunch of other people on Instagram. So you were only following a select few, and we followed each other. So my feed wasn't saturated with a bunch of other posts. So every time he posted something, I would see it, and I realized he posted like a flat lay picture or something, or maybe this was in one of his videos. But it's because of him that I purchased this, and I completely fell in love with it. He said it's one of the #1 selling scents in Korea, and because I was such a believer of, you know, Korean people's taste, I went out and I purchased this, and it smells like there's no more, but I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so it smells like very clean soap and a very deep mixed with a very deep sense of musk. So it doesn't surprise me that this is one of the fragrances that Korean men prefer, because it smells very simple and clean, and it's I would categorize it in one of in the interesting category, because it's definitely a question getter. Like whenever I'm wearing this, people would ask me, "Oh my god, that smells so good. What is it that you're wearing?" Because it's not quite manly, it's not quite feminine. It just smells clean. And I saved the best for last. This is this bottle that I'm about to show you is also empty because I used it up, but I'm definitely going to be repurchasing it. It's one of my all-time favorites. I would consider it a holy grail fragrance because I think I'm going to be using it well into my late adulthood. Spice Bomb by Victor and Rolf. A funny story about this is that I sampled it onto my skin, and then I went ahead and bought another scent. I think it was the Sauvage. I forgot which house carried that, but I bought that scent. And then as I was walking out of the mall, I was like, oh my god, the Spice Bomb that I sprayed on my wrist smells so good. Why did I go and buy this other scent? So I went and returned that fragrance and got this one, and it was the best decision I made in terms of, you know, fragrances. It smells absolutely scrumptious. It's called Spice Bomb, but it's actually very, very fruity. It has almost like a lavender, jasmine, lychee type of scent, and then layered on top of it is a bunch of like dessert spices. That's what it smells like to me. The man who would wear this is, you know, the man who has his life together and you know, knows a little bit more than the average person when it comes to fragrances, because it's definitely not your normal. And when I'm saying all this, I'm not trying to compliment myself. I'm just saying this is what I envision when I'm smelling this scent. So yeah, a man who is very well versed in terms of fragrances, because this is definitely a masculine scent, but there is something mysteriously feminine about it. I think it's the heavy, you know, spice that is layered on top of the fruity notes. Like, fragrance reviewers tend to talk about how spicy this scent is, and that can sound very intimidating, but it's actually, like, on my skin, it smells very, very fruity, and the spice only comes after. And there is definitely some kind of tea, you know, like maybe it's green tea or oolong or, you know, jasmine, some sort of tea. Because when I wore this at work and I stepped into an elevator, these women, there were 4 women in the elevator. I stepped in, and this one lady said, oh my god, do you smell that? It smells like jasmine. And then she was like, the 4 ladies were all talking amongst themselves and trying to figure out who it is in the elevator that smelled so good. And I was just standing there in the corner. But yeah, that's the story on this. It's definitely a compliment getter, and the best way to describe it is that it's absolutely delicious. Very sophisticated, very classy, super worth the money because of the way it layers and dries off onto the skin. It can be worn year-round. 100% recommend this for the winter, but it's completely fine to wear this in the summer as well. It just smells good on the skin, and it lasts long, and it's a very attracting scent. It brings people to you. It makes you almost, you know, when I spray it on my clothes, I sprayed it on my scarf, this one scarf that I have, and I find that I'm more gravitated to grabbing that scarf in the morning compared to all the other scarves. It's the type of scent that does that to you. But yeah, anyways, that's it for my fragrance collection. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys like you know, the content that I'm producing, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe. And if you like this particular video, I would super appreciate it if you can press the thumbs up button. If you don't like this video, don't press the thumbs down button or anything. Just exit the video and leave quietly. Anyways, bye for now.